Do you see it in the horizon? A wagon train. Oh no, it's being attacked. The wagons are forming a circle. Somebody's in the middle of it. Goodness gracious, it's Kamala Harris. That's right. The caravan is protecting Kamala because, folks, I do think the honeymoon phase is about to end. Now, to be clear here, I want to bring up Due Dissidents because I was co-hosting their show yesterday. Thank you, Russell, for having me co-host. Shout out to Keaton. Glad to fill in for you, buddy. All the best to you. But Keaton did pay a visit, and he did bring up something important about Kamala, and that is, don't count her out just yet. I know everyone wants to make fun of Kamala and everything else, and look, I think pretty much, she's a disaster, but Republicans, Trump supporters, listen, I know. The evil communist. I'm not a communist, though, but for some reason, liberals and progressives who don't like the show call me a fascist. So, hey, wrap your heads around that one. I'm gonna give you some free Coca-Cola advice, some classic Coca-Cola advice. Okay, because Keaton brought this up. If you guys keep going after Kamala's past and doing quote unquote shaming of her, and I get it, the jokes are funny. You're going to lose, all right? Because you could hit her on so many other issues because Kamala's policy history, and yes, Trump supporters, listen to me very carefully on this. It has nothing to do with communism or Leninism or Marxism or social. She's none of those things. She is a neoliberal corporate Democrat. But yet, what are we witnessing from corporate media? And this is stuff that's out there for everybody to see, no matter where you stand on the political spectrum. Here is what we're seeing. We're seeing how corporate media is defending her and how she could take back some of her quote unquote progressive policies. Now, again, during the 2020 campaign, she said she was for Medicare for all. And then what happened the day after? She got a phone call. Ring, 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 ring. You bring that up again and you are done. Little did you know that Kamala was already dead upon arrival. So let's go ahead and pull up this video here from Case Study QB and witness the mental gymnastics in which corporate media will go through on CNN to defend Kamala's past for reversing her quote-unquote progressive policies, if she ever had any. Newsflash, she never did.
Vice President Harris is talking about this proposal, which is pretty, I would say, to the left, right? But in the same breath, we're hearing that actually some of the things that she backed in the 2020 race, she's pulling back on. In the New York Times.
What? No longer what? All this stuff here, hold on. No longer wants to ban fracking. Supports increased funding for border enforcement. No longer backs single-payer health insurance. Supports assault weapons ban without requirement to sell them to the federal government. Okay, first of all, none of this is on her agenda. Now, look, just like that classic scene from The Simpsons when Lisa got lost on the bus, don't make me tap the sign. Don't make me pull up Kamala Harris's website. On her official Twitter account, she has no policies whatsoever. So saying that she was a progressive in the first place, even in 2020, she never believed in it. Okay? I say this, all right? And debate. Listen, now I don't want to do debate me, but seriously, Kamala Harris is none of these things. Not to mention, one of the biggest sources of evidence is look at her track record as VP. Has she accomplished anything? She has accomplished nothing. I don't care what generation you're part of or who you vote for. Kamala has done nothing as VP. Absolutely nothing.
The campaign told them that she no longer wants to ban fracking. She supports increased funding for border enforcement. That's the Biden budget. She no longer backs single-payer health insurance as she did 4 years ago. And she supports an assault weapons ban still, but she does not support anymore a requirement to sell them back to the federal government. Can she just take it back?
The Etch-a-Sketch, shake the Etch-a-Sketch really hard is what she's attempting to do right now. The real difficulty here is that she literally spent many years in public life explicitly, carefully defending the fact that she wanted to abandon fracking. This was not something she fell into. It was not something that was a surprise. When you look at when a politician makes a change, the question is it a change that seems plausible and consistent with where they were before? When Barack Obama changed from being opposed to same-sex marriage to being for same-sex marriage, people didn't think, wow, that really came out of nowhere. I don't buy it. I don't buy that Barack Obama is tolerant and wants same-sex marriage. They believe that it was very consistent with a larger through line of his politics. Right now,
also that's a signal for we're just bullshitting you. Okay? Hey, listen, if Obama or Hillary Clinton or any Democrat actually cared about LGBTQ rights, where were they from the very beginning? They only did so because it was politically expedient at the time that they could do so. You know, where are all these women politicians, especially people like Nancy Pelosi, when Roe v. Wade was canceled? That's right, under Biden's administration. Where were all of those people? Where were all these women politicians? Oh, that's right, nowhere. And they had decades. I'm sorry, hold on. I wasn't speaking English. They had decades upon decades upon decades to do the right thing, yet they didn't. Just like Kamala. She could have done a lot of good things if she wanted to.
Kamala Harris is trying to shake the Etch-a-Sketch in ways that are deeply inconsistent.
Why is it okay for J.D. Vance to change his positions, but not Kamala Harris?
This is about what is appropriate to say when you're talking to a friend and trying to express empathy in that moment.
No, but he's changed his public positions too.
I would love for you, Abby, to sit down at length with Kamala Harris and talk to her about what she got wrong about fracking. How was she misled? What did she fail to understand when for years and years she took that position? If she has a good, coherent answer to that, bravo to her. That would be amazing and great to listen to. If she could carefully, patiently explain why years of advocacy for Medicare for all and banning private health insurance was a bad idea. Look, she's literally just said, we were talking about it a moment ago, she's supporting a court packing measure right now. And now she's trying to pivot back to the center.
That's not in the proposal. But
it is. When you make judges senior justices, you're effectively bringing on new folks and you're packing the court.
Gumption. So I want to play this Trump quote talking about changing policy positions.
In politics, when you start off saying something, that's where you are. And she was for defund the police. She was for open borders.
No, she was none of those things. Listen. I get the game. See, now I get some pushback. Oh, how come you're never mean to Trump supporters or Republicans? No, hold on. Listen, Republican voters, Trump supporters, listen. You know these Democrats are bullshitters. They don't care. I live in a city that's run by the Democratic machine. It's a neoliberal nightmare, not a communist socialist utopia. This is a neoliberal nightmare. These politicians don't believe in any kind of real change. None of them do. You think the Democrats really care about the kids in cages? They don't. You see AOC showing up there? No, because the kids are still in cages, but this time there's a Democrat in the White House. The Democrats don't care. They don't care. Now, go ahead, Trump. Talk about open borders and all this other stuff. Okay, somehow Kamala's for that. She ain't.
She was for having anybody come in.
It's just very interesting to me, coming from Trump, who's, I mean, I don't know that there have been many politicians who change their positions more than
every politician flip-flops. Every politician changes slightly. Even someone like Bernie Sanders, who is famous for his steadfast devotion to his class politics, has sort of wiggled and pivoted on things around the edges. It's completely inevitable. However, there is a difference between a politician that has a set of instincts, right? Donald Trump, totally, I give you that he's flip-flopped. He's had a set of instincts around things like trade for decades, right? He long before he was in politics. Biden. He's flip-flopped too. Biden has had instincts around foreign policy.
Now, this is probably going to be his last time on CNN because he's making too much sense.
For decades, right? What are Kamala's instincts? I literally don't know. She was against the death penalty. She was for the death penalty.
You don't know Donald Trump's instincts.
Yes, I do. On trade, on foreign policy.
No. Here's the thing. On Trump, yes, I know what to expect from a Trump presidency. With Kamala, I expect nothing. Because she represents nothing. Now, if that's being mean, well, too bad. The white guys for what's it? The white guys for Harris. My goodness, I'm getting secondhand dementia. Yeah, the white guys for Harris. For Kamala Harris. Yeah, all what this is, hey, let's feel good about ourselves and vote for a politician that has all the quotas and check marks that we all like. But do they represent anything? No.
Can't read his mind. None of us
read the instincts by a pattern over a lifetime.
And there is a pattern.
For
The
Trump, there's
pattern is
patterns on trade.
that I
There's
say
patterns
whatever,
on China.
whatever I need to say in that
No, that's
moment
Kamala's
in
pattern.
order to get people's support. That's what Donald Trump has done over and
Can
over
we
and
also
over
call
again.
her vice president? You guys are speaking about her so carefully and
I don't
casually,
always say
as if you know her. And I think she deserves the respect. And if we continue,
Well, I
in
don't
the
always
media,
say President Biden when I say Biden.
if we continue in the media.
No, hold on. This is where the tone policing starts coming in. The media circling its wagons. The media just doing this.
To just call her Kamala or whatever name you just called her, it sends a message of lack of respect. And so I think she needs the title, and I think she deserves the respect.
Into it. It's not an intended
Well,
message
when you
on
say
my
her
part.
name wrong,
Listen, if we're going to
it's
talk about
definitely a
flip-flops,
disrespect.
let's just remember that for most of his life, Donald Trump was a Democrat that contributed generously to
Yes.
Democrat candidates like Kamala Harris and like
Which
Nancy
is why when he
Pelosi.
pivots to the center on social issues, it's plausible.
Please,
it's an Obama
listen,
pivot.
he became
not
a
a Kamala
Republican.
pivot.
He became a Republican because he
Wait.
knew he could fool them.
Donald Trump's flip-flopping
It's
on
popular.
abortion is a pivot to the center.
Yeah, I think that
Is very interesting.
well, that is something that I think a lot of pro-lifers object to, or are concerned about. But yes, I think that it is designed to be a pivot to the center.
All right,
I
everyone,
think it's
stand
designed
by.
to get votes.
Stand by, everyone. We have much more to discuss.
I know. I'm sorry that you guys had to sit through this. It wasn't fair. This is technically could be considered violence, and I hope I don't get canceled or censored. But I mean, at this point, folks, this is how pathetic our media is. And the thing is, when you hear that kind of tone policing or any kind of real criticism towards Kamala, it opens a doorway for jagoffs like this. I know. I'm sorry. White men for Harris. Oh God. So many actors in here, like Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges, when I saw this on Due Dissidence, my soul cried. I almost wanted to say to Russell, how dare you?
I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
Over the last few years, I've been thinking a lot about men.
I'm not sure if you guys
That was very awkward.
can recall that feeling you had on the night of Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. I stood over my kid's bed and I wept.
White nationalists in MAGA, they want to speak for you specifically as white men.
In the marginalized communities that educate me every single day, that this is
Every day? Are you certain? Are you certain about that every day? You're in the communities every single day. I don't know. I call BS.
a constant education for all of us.
Kamala is carrying on her shoulders 248 years of pain, of agony, of hope, of frustration. And no matter how high she jumps, no matter how many degrees she has, no matter how good her grades are, she's never good enough because they're always moving the line.
What a variety of whiteness we have here. It's like a rainbow of beige.
But man, I am scared to death of what the future could look like if we go back to another Trump administration.
Now, the thing is, Democrats want to have this smug outlook. And as I play in that first segment, they're trying to defend her, Kamala Harris, the VP, the vice president, as someone as being consistent. You notice how the CNN host was doing that. But there was pushback. And of course, you have the rise, of course, the white guys for Kamala Harris. But the thing is, and especially doing a segment like this, at least all of us deserve a laugh before I pull up the final video where CNN is kind of giving her the okay, that it's okay for Kamala to pivot. But never forget what the Democratic Party is. And who could ever forget this Coca-Cola classic commercial? Now, this video came out during the 2022 midterm election cycle, but I view it as pure gold.
Democrats like to say that no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense, that no one could possibly need all 30 rounds. But when this rifle is the only thing standing between your family and a dozen angry Democrats in Klan hoods, you just might need that semi-automatic and all 30 rounds.
You know what? Just one more time.
Democrats like to say that no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense, that no one could possibly need all 30 rounds. But when this rifle is the only thing standing between your family and a dozen angry Democrats in Klan hoods, you just might need that semi-automatic in all 30 rounds.
You know, it's very rare that you bring up something as beautiful as this. But of course, here we now see mainstream media, CNN. Yeah, you have a Vanderbilt up there. Okay, that's being mean. But where they say, hey, mainstream media giving Kamala Harris permission to pivot to the middle. She understands the assignment. She understands who she is trying to win over, which means they understand how to lie to you, the American people.
Which means that in this moment, she's having the chance to reintroduce herself to millions of American voters and can really sort of remake her image, which is why there's a race on to define Kamala Harris. And the Trump administration wants to make sure that swing state voters hear that she is a progressive from San Francisco. That's what they want to drill into people's heads. But Kamala Harris is pivoting to the middle. She is, today she came out and said that she does not believe in a ban on fracking, does not believe in Medicare for all. And a lot of these issues are things, and actually she talked about funding the border. These are not things or positions that she took back when she was running for president in 2020 in a Democratic primary. But I think one can argue that we see this from a lot of politicians, right? People pivot to.
Yes, we get lied to all the time, and we here at corporate media constantly stick it up the American people's wazoo because we feel that everybody who watches our program is absolutely stupid. Watch CNN. That's all what this is. They're saying that it's okay for Kamala to lie to you, and then corporate media will cover for it, just like how they covered up the fact that Biden's a senile old goat.
To the center in general elections. Mitt Romney certainly did it when he kind of remade himself as a moderate governor from Massachusetts to a much more conservative presidential candidate.
I mean, Donald Trump did it. J.D. Vance has done it.
Donald Trump did it. I mean, look, and this is, I think, part of it. If J.D. Vance.
Hey, everybody's lying. So if one person can lie, what's the incentive of telling the truth? Making people trust the system again?
Can go from saying that Donald Trump is America's Hitler to being his vice presidential candidate. I think there's some room for Kamala Harris to pivot to the center. But I do think she understands the assignment. She understands who she is trying to win over. And when you listen to these voters, they're very clear on the issues that move them and that they're interested in hearing. And so when I've done focus groups this week with swing voters, they say, hey, make me your pitch. I'm ready to hear what Kamala Harris is talking about. Because for a lot of these swing voters, they do not like Trump. They have disliked Trump now for a while. Many of them voted against him, not for Joe Biden, but against him in 2020, and then by default for Joe Biden. But they didn't want to vote for Joe Biden this time around because they felt like he was too old. And so they're giving Kamala a really hard first look.
Yeah, a real hard first look. But the thing is, when you look at the Democrats, they are based on liars. They are based on frauds. They are based on people who cannot tell the truth to save their lives. It's impossible for Democrats to do the right thing, just like how it's impossible for Republicans to do the right thing. Now, again, when I say Democrats and Republicans, I'm talking about the politicians. Voters, you want to free yourselves from this abuse? Wake up to the fact that both parties are liars. Both parties are filled with frauds. But the thing is, what the Democrats right now have done, they've perfected. They have convinced people that they are somewhat the good guys. They are not the good guys. They are not the people we could trust. I'm so sorry if you actually think that Kamala or the Democrats have your best interest at heart. How can they have your best interest at heart when they are locking down the convention to be so secure that they're going to make sure that they are really going to keep an eye out who can get in and who could stay? How can we trust the system or the Democrats when they are selecting their And here's the thing. It's right here before us all. In 2016 and 2020, it was abundantly clear. But right there, just like the scene from The Dark Knight when the fake Batman is hanged in front of the mayor's office in order for the Joker to get Batman's attention. Right before all of us, Kamala selected like that from the entire political party. Brilliant move, Democrats. And yet, corporate media also says it's okay for her to pivot. It's okay. Tone police. Watch how you do it. Feel guilty. And if you don't support Kamala, then you're a bad person. I told y'all that the 2024 election cycle is going to be entertaining. I didn't expect it to be this entertaining, but I'm happy about it. So what other way to end this segment than at least end it on a humorous note? One more time for all the lovely people who are just tuning in.
Democrats like to say that no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense, that no one could possibly need all 30 rounds. But when this rifle is the only thing standing between your family and a dozen angry Democrats in Klan hoods, you just might need that semi-automatic and all 30 rounds.
Just to be clear, that campaign commercial is from the last midterm election cycle, but that's what you call a Coca-Cola classic.